And we are live on YouTube. We are live on TikTok. Going to be doing my first live streamed fantasy football draft of the season on the YouTube channel. I'm pumped, guys. It is going to be a fantastic season. We got about 2 months until it starts. Yarshma, man, love to see you as the first person in the first live for yet another season. Let's go, man. I'm pumped. I'm pumped to get going. I'm hopping in a draft right now. The Best Ball Mania 4 draft. You can watch the draft board live on the YouTube channel once it starts. Jamar at the 101, Caden. Nope, I definitely would not be doing that. Taking Jefferson for sure over Jamar at the 101. I've seen Jamar be pretty much the consensus 102 at this point. I don't necessarily hate that. I feel like Cooper Kupp, though, I feel a little bit better about, honestly, than Jamar Chase, especially in PPR leagues. First here, too. What's up, Yarshma? Great to see you in the chat, as always. Hope all is well. You as well, Ben. Thanks for tuning in. The first of many lives as we get ready for peak draft season. What's going on, Avery? Commanders.WalterPicks creator in the chat. Jahmyr Gibbs, late second round. That's a little early for me. I don't think I'm going Gibbs in the late second. I think I'm seeing him go. If you come to the YouTube channel, links right in the TikTok bio. About to hop in an underdog draft. The underdog ADP is really the best source of actual average draft position that you can find at this time of the year, because there's hundreds of real drafts, not mock drafts, real drafts happening on underdog. It's a best ball format, so it's a little bit different. But even Gibbs, I feel like might bode well, better actually in a best ball format than in a season long format. His ADP is around 41 right now, so that's like early fourth round. I think you're reaching for Gibbs if you're taking him late second. I mean, there's so many good players in the second round this year. You can see some of my favorite second round picks above, but I mean, Saquon, Chubb, JT, Pollard, all going in the second round, at least in these early drafts that are happening. All of these guys, historically, first round picks in past years with the types of roles they're projected right now. I also really like Garrett Wilson in the second round. I've seen him go as early as the first round. Who should I take at the 4 spot in a 12-man league? It's actually one of my favorite picks this year. We're live on YouTube and TikTok, by the way. I'm about to join a live draft, $25 entry into the Best Ball Mania 4 draft over an underdog. Come to the YouTube channel if you want to see that. Link is right in the TikTok bio. But the fourth pick is actually the third, fourth picks this year. Two of my favorite picks for sure. You're going to land one of CMC or Cooper Kupp, almost definitely with those two picks. I personally have been feeling really good about getting Cooper Kupp at the 4 spot if I can, especially if it's a PPR format. What are your thoughts on Austin Eckler? Yeah, I didn't put him in my favorite first-round picks, but I think that Eckler is one of these guys. He's never going to get this like massive workload that we kind of want in fantasy, but he's going to make up for it because of his huge receiving role and his massive touchdown upside in that offense. So I think it really cancels out. With Austin Eckler, he's just not going to be the traditional workhorse back that's seeing like a 60%, 70% snap share. 170 views on here is crazy this early. Yeah, Yards, we're just getting started, man. We're just getting started. I love these. I love these first live streams. They hold a dear place in my heart. Because if you're watching a fantasy football live stream before July, you came to the right place. I mean, this is where you get ahead of your league when you're starting your research this early. All right, so I got the 8th overall pick in this draft that I'm doing over on YouTube. Again, come to the YouTube live to see the draft board in real time. I'll talk through it on the TikTok live as well. Who would you take at the 101? Yeah, right now I'm taking Justin Jefferson at the 101. I was all aboard the CMC train last year at the 101. I do think Jefferson's significantly safer than CMC. Just a really steady floor ceiling every single week you're getting with Justin Jefferson. I don't expect much to change with the addition of Jordan Addison in town for Justin Jefferson. So yeah, I'm taking him, I think, with the 101. It's a little early, so I'm not gonna lock that take in just yet. But right now, I've really been feeling really good about getting Cooper Kupp right after Justin Jefferson, and then CMC shortly after that. I think all three of those guys would be my top 4, along with Jamar Chase. Why no Chase as a favorite in the first round? Because I kind of like getting Cooper Kupp later than Jamar Chase. Are you concerned about the 2 Bucs receivers with the drop from Brady to Baker? Yeah, I'm definitely concerned. I'm much more concerned about Mike Evans, though, than Chris Godwin. When you look at the game logs for Mike Evans last season, and I mean, like 90% of his points came in his last game of the season. Really brutal, really brutal game logs from Mike Evans, who somehow still had another 1,000-yard season, like 9 straight, almost 1,000-yard seasons. Maybe it's even more than 9. It might actually be 10 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Let me count them really quick. 2, 4, 6, 8. No, it is 9. 9 straight 1,000-yard seasons for Mike Evans. But I am still more bullish on Chris Godwin than Mike Evans. And I do think the Bucs will be playing from behind a decent amount. But yeah, I like Godwin over Evans at their ADPs right now. They're getting drafted kind of close together. I'm still in on Godwin, still in on Rashad White. All right, my pick's coming up here with the 8th overall pick in this draft. Travis Kelce gets snagged. I feel like I got to go Diggs here. I haven't taken a ton of Diggs in the drafts I've done so far. I will show you guys my draft exposure percentages after this draft. I am going to take Diggs here with the 8th overall pick. So if you come to the YouTube live, you can see the draft board happening. This is a real draft happening now, a $25 draft with a $3 million first place prize. I took Diggs at 8th overall. The draft started Justin Jefferson, then Jamar Chase, then Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill. See Cooper Kupp going at 5. I really like the value you're getting with Kupp that late. I think he's a really good shot if he stays healthy to lead the league in targets and receptions this year. Austin Eckler went at 6. Travis Kelce went at 7. Really like the value you're getting with Kelce at 7 too. I think there's a real argument for Kelce to be a top 5 pick this season. The Chiefs, they didn't add any elite receivers. They lost guys in free agency. They added Richie James this offseason. I think they drafted a rookie, Rashee Rice, as well. Kadarius Toney obviously is expected to be the number 1 receiver there, but it's really Travis Kelce that's locked in as the top receiver for the Chiefs, and you get to play him in your tight end slot. It's an absolute cheat code. I do like getting him where he's going. Diggs was a bad pick. Yeah, I honestly haven't been drafting a ton of Diggs. I do a lot of best ball drafts, so I got to make sure I'm getting exposure to a lot of different guys. But I just know there's going to be good running backs that are going to fall back to me in the second round. For sure, we'll go running back here. Bijan, JT, Nick Chubb, Saquon, trying to get one of these guys in the early second round pretty frequently. What RBs would you target for 0 RB strat? Yeah, I don't hate the 0 RB strat. It does feel a little weaker this year because of how early some of these receivers are going. But there's to the same point, there's a lot of great running backs late that can do well with the 0 RB strat. If you are watching live on YouTube, guys, appreciate you. Let me show you the draft board. I'm about to be back on the clock. I'm looking for I really want Saquon here or Nick Chubb with this next pick. I'll be taking one of those two guys almost definitely. But if you are watching live on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. If you're watching live on TikTok, come to the YouTube live to see a live draft that I'm in literally right now. Wow, Chase at 2 is a little crazy to me. Yeah, it's a little crazy to me too. I don't think it's that bold of a take to put Cooper Kupp or maybe even Tyreek Hill ahead of him. I think I'd probably put Chase ahead of Hill, but I honestly think Kupp is safer than Chase with the situation that he's in. All right, we're on the clock here. Saquon did get taken, so we'll be going with Nick Chubb here. To start with the Stephon Diggs, Nick Chubb start. Don't hate it. We'll see if Josh Allen falls to me in the third. Might go with a stack there. Why is Chase so overrated this season? I don't think he's overrated. I wouldn't say he's overrated. It's just like T. Higgins is also almost as good as Jamar Chase in fantasy over the last 2 years. There isn't a huge difference there. So it feels a little crazy for Chase to go number 2 overall and for T. Higgins to go in the 3rd or 4th round where he's going now. I'd rather just get T. Is Bijan a safe running back to take round 1? I think he is. I took him round 1 in my first season-long draft, but he is a rookie. I mean, there's always going to be some risk involved with rookies, but there's significantly less risk with a guy like Bijan, who, I mean, he basically checks every single box. He was an extremely early first-round draft pick. What did he go, like 6th overall? He went inside the top 10, I believe, if my memory serves me right. Yeah, he was the 8th overall pick in this past year's draft. You don't draft someone that early in the NFL draft if you don't plan on using them a lot. But he also has the 3-down skill set that you want in a first-round running back pick. He is an extremely talented receiver, and he's going to be extremely talented on first and second down. He can be out there all 3 downs. That being said, like, there is a little bit of risk because they're gonna continue using Cordero Patterson, potentially in the red zone and potentially in some good receiving type spots. And then Tyler Algier is still going to be involved as well. But I am comfortable taking Bijan late first, early second, because I think as the season goes on, he can really start to heat up. I'm projecting him for around 20 touches a game, I think, right now, and he could easily go past that. So yeah, I'm very much in on Bijan. It's just a steep price to pay. I'm hoping the price goes down a little bit to like the mid-second round. Feels like he should be in that same Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor type tier. That's where he went in the draft. I'm doing right now live on YouTube. Again, shout out to everyone watching live on YouTube. We are live on TikTok and YouTube right now. And if you're watching live on TikTok, the comment section, it's a little bit more manageable on YouTube, and I can pull up comments right on the screen, which is nice. But also, you can literally see the draft board on YouTube. I can't show it to you on TikTok because I'm on my phone. On YouTube, on my computer. You can see literally a live draft happening right now. Really interesting to see where some guys are going this early in the offseason. Who would you take at 4 in a 12-man? If it's PPR, I'm really looking for Cooper Kupp or Christian McCaffrey at the 4th overall pick. The draft is probably going to start Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase in the top 3. So you're looking at Cooper Kupp or CMC likely with that 4th pick. And I do like that a lot. Who do you take over Kelsey in the 1st round? Yeah, I've done a lot of thinking on this. I'm about to be up on the clock. I'll answer that question next from the TikTok live. I got Stephon Diggs and I got Nick Chubb. The running backs are not going. I'm going to take Calvin Ridley here. I think I kind of want to take Mark Andrews. Part of me wants to take Mark Andrews, but I'm going to go Ridley instead. I want to get to it. I saw a comment about Ridley too. But for the Kelsey thing, so I'm playing a best ball format. Season-long leagues is not that much different in my mind when it comes to Kelsey. Here's the guys I'm taking over Kelsey in the 1st round right now. I'm taking Justin Jefferson over him. I'm taking Jamar Chase over him. Taking Christian McCaffrey over him. I'm taking Tyreek Hill over him. And I'm taking Cooper Kupp over him. I'm not taking anyone else over him. I'm not taking Austin Eckler over him. I'm not taking Stephon Diggs ahead of Travis Kelce. I'm not taking CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon. None of those guys I'm taking over Travis Kelce. And so it's a short list. I think that was 5 guys. I have him ranked 6th, I guess, right now with where things stands for me. Why are RBs not going? This format, people get egregiously aggressive on underdog in this best ball format with receivers, which is why I took 2 in these first 3 rounds, because there's so much good RB value late because of this. There's really not a great explanation for it. I think part of the reason running backs aren't going early too is people are just tired of the injuries with the running backs, the most injury prone position in football, one of the most injury prone positions in all of sports. Every year there's just a couple of guys that are able to play at significant volume every game of a season at the running back position. That being said, I do think they're getting a little bit too overlooked right now on underdog. And I will be taking a couple of running backs with my next few picks. Especially late here, you're seeing these guys like Kenneth Walker, Aaron Jones, even Miles Sanders, Cam Akers, David Montgomery, Rachaad White, way down the list here that I'll be able to get later in this draft. And generally, I'm drafting 5 or 6 running backs in this format too. I might just draft the entire Jets team from Kev Terry. Yeah, good luck with that, Kev. Take it from someone who was in a league with you last year and drafted the entire Broncos team last year. Generally, all your eggs in one basket from a fantasy perspective for a franchise like the Jets, probably a bold move. It's probably a bold move. I'll never. This guy chose Gibson over JT 2 years ago. LOL. Wow. I'll take your word that I did that. Doesn't sound like something I do, but it's certainly possible. I definitely was in on Gibson a while back. I'm going to be going Judy here with this next pick. I've been all in on getting as much Judy as possible in these drafts. So I've started this draft, 3 wide receivers, 1 running back. I started with Stephon Diggs, 8th overall. Again, if you're watching live on TikTok, come to the YouTube. Link is right in the TikTok bio. You can see the draft board live that I'm in right now. It's a $25 Best Ball Mania 4 draft over on Underdog. This is the best place to be drafting this time of year. I mean, the drafts are filling up in 30 seconds or less every single time. I took Calvin Ridley here. Liam was asking, what's the story on Calvin Ridley in the YouTube live? So I started this draft, 8th overall pick. Unfortunately, Kelsey didn't fall to me. I've seen him fall as far as like pick 9. I definitely would have taken Kelsey ahead of Stephon Diggs. Took Stephon Diggs at 8th overall. Don't really love that, but I haven't drafted much in the drafts I'm doing, and I got to try to diversify with the amount of best ball drafts I'm doing. Steph Diggs, Nick Chubb with the 2nd pick, and then I followed it up with Calvin Ridley in the 3rd and Jerry Jeudy in the 4th. I'm in pretty heavily on Calvin Ridley for this season. I expect him to be the number 1 receiver on the Jaguars. Christian Kirk absolutely still has a shot to lead the Jaguars in receiving, but Ridley's ceiling is absolutely higher, in my opinion. We've seen Ridley be a top 5 fantasy football wide receiver with a declining late career Matt Ryan. I don't think it's that much of a stretch to say that the quarterback that Calvin Ridley's playing with this year might be the best quarterback that he's played with in his entire career. And I know there's a big Matt Ryan community out there that feels he should be in the Hall of Fame. And sure, we can go down that argument if you want to. I still think I'd take ascending kind of in his prime, close to his prime, Trevor Lawrence over late career Matt Ryan. And that was an offense where Calvin really put up 19 fantasy points per game. He had 1,300 yards, 9 touchdowns. He could get to those numbers in this offense with the Jaguars. So yeah, I'm all in on Calvin Ridley. I think there's a really high touchdown ceiling. I think he's going to mesh really well with Trevor Lawrence. He had a full year off, obviously, tough to be the poster child of gambling issues for NFL players, but he's back, and all reports are that he's looks like he did before the suspension. So yeah, I'm in on Calvin Ridley. I took him in the 3rd round of this draft, followed it up with Judy in the 4th. All right, we're about to be back on the clock here again. I'll get to some of the comments after that. And yeah, this is where I'll certainly be starting to lean towards the running backs. You guys can see here, actually looks like, let me refresh, see if that fixes it. Got a little plugin going on Underdog this year that our CTO, Joey, built over at WalterPicks. This little card that's going to help me see what teams I need to stack with. Stacking is super important in best ball in these weeks 15, 16, 17, the playoff weeks in best ball. I'll talk a little bit about why that's important later on in this live. Kadarius Toney is going in the 5th round. I mean, just insane to see stuff like that. Kenneth Walker versus Aaron Jones. This is definitely a tough one. I'm going to lean Kenneth just because I feel better about that offense. I'm not too scared of Zach Charbonnet. I think he will have a role in the offense, but Kenneth Walker's elite, guys. I do want to see which guy we have higher in our rankings right now after I had to make that decision. Let's see here. We'll be launching the WalterPicks draft tool, by the way, in literally the next few days. Super, super excited for that. And yeah, we do have Kenneth Walker behind Aaron Jones, at least in PPR. Half PPR, I'm sure it's a little bit closer. I will take Aaron Jones if he's there with my next pick. He probably won't be. I've also been taking a lot of Miles Sanders in the 6th round we're in right now. Let me pull the draft board again so you guys can see on the YouTube live. All right, let's get back to some of these comments. How to apply to be part of the WalterPicks 32. So the application is closed to be a part of the WalterPicks 32 creator team. They actually are completing their training like today. Tomorrow is the last weeks of the WalterPicks creator team training. So it's a little late to be applying. There is occasions throughout the season for whatever reason, spots might open up, and you got to follow the main account at WalterPicks to make sure you're aware of when those opportunities present themselves. But yeah, or be ready to apply next offseason. If you like baseball, though, yeah, follow WalterPicks.mlb in the chat as well. I have the 102. Do you think Thielen will still be there? I don't know. I don't know, Cole. Thielen's been, I think I've seen him a few times go 101. Now, obviously, Thielen will be there. How would you approach a draft this year, considering it's different than past years where running backs were ranked higher and now running backs are ranked lower? Yeah, so this is Chris. This is a fantastic question. These are the right types of things to be thinking about, especially strategy-wise this time of the offseason. And I really think leaning into a few, like one running back at least still in the first 2 to 3 rounds. I mean, the running backs, look at the running backs in round 2. Like you're basically getting this year round 1 running backs in round 2. So if you can snag Kelsey, snag an elite receiver, and then also get a running back that has the potential to finish number 1 overall. I mean, look where Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs are going in this draft. I know there's some concern with Jacobs about holding out potentially. That stuff will probably be gone by the time the season rolls around. I think I'm going to go Marquise Brown here. I do like getting some Marquise Brown shares. Yeah, I'm going Marquise at ADP value there. I have 2 running backs, 4 receivers at this point, so definitely will need to draft a few receivers. I struggle with Madison. I want to take Madison in the 6th and 7th round, but I also know there's drafts already in this tournament where he's gone in the 9th round. I feel like I have a big disadvantage there for not getting him at such a worse cost. But yeah, so generally speaking, like I really hope it stays this way. I hope that this isn't just people doing early best ball drafts, kind of driving running backs down because people go crazy with receivers in these best ball formats. They want the spike weeks. You got to start 3 receivers on Underdog, only 2 running backs plus a flex. So in theory, you could start 4 receivers each week in this Underdog format. But I really hope it stays this way because I don't think this is the optimal strategy at all for season-long leagues. And in season-long leagues, I want to lock down at least 2 bell cow running backs on my fantasy team. And if you're going to let me get, Aaron Jones, Kenneth Walker in the 5th round, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs in the 3rd round this year, and some of these guys in the 2nd round too, Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor. If I could get Kelsey in the 1st round or one of these elite receivers with the top 6 pick, followed up with 2 stud running backs in the next 4 rounds, plus an elite QB potentially, I like that a lot. I'm also really heavily targeting Jerry Jeudy. But yeah, in general, like the running back strategy doesn't change. You want the running backs that have a path to a 3-down role, have touchdown upside, and can catch passes. Like that, those are the running backs you want. Whether they're going in the 1st round, 2nd round, 3rd round, you obviously want to be able to be adaptive. Like I don't want to take Saquon in the 1st round if I know I can get him in the 2nd round. So you want to be able to leverage ADP to make the right decisions throughout the draft. But it's going to change. I think things will shift a little bit as we get closer to the season. Okay. Keenan over Jacobs and Henry is crazy, in my opinion. I 100% would agree with this one, Michael. I actually haven't taken much Keenan at all. It does feel like he's in the later stages of his career now. He's declined in efficiency each of the last few years at this point. He still can be a viable fantasy option in PPR leagues, especially. But Mike Williams has a higher touchdown ceiling than him. I think Quentin Johnson could come on down the stretch too for the Chargers. Yeah, I'm a little off Keenan at this point of the season. Okay, we're going to go with David Montgomery here. And I'm going to try to lock down Rachaad White with this next pick as well. I like how this team's coming together. I like David Montgomery a lot late. I'm excited about Jahmyr Gibbs. My comp for Jahmyr Gibbs, by the way, is Chris Johnson, which for those of you that got to watch Chris Johnson, hopefully that gets you as excited as it gets me. Chris Johnson is one of the fastest humans I've ever seen play any sport. And I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be like that as well. 99th percentile speed for Gibbs. He was a good receiver in college. Sounds like already in OTAs. They were using Gibbs a lot in the receiving game. But guys, we know the Lions aren't this type of team that is going to give one running back this massive, massive workload like we've seen in some other situations that are great for fantasy. David Montgomery is the guy that's most likely to be in that Jamal Williams role from last year that scored 17 touchdowns, led the NFL in rushing touchdowns. I think that's going to be Monty, not Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't think Montgomery will have as many receptions, maybe not even as many yards. But the touchdowns are huge, especially in this best ball format where I don't need to guess which weeks David Montgomery is going to fall into the end zone. I like taking him a lot. He also has a pretty exciting playoff schedule, which could lead to a lot of points. Let me look at the stack situation here as well. We got Cowboys, Chargers, Patriots as some top teams I should be stacking. Not gonna. I think the other thing I feel pretty strongly about in these early best ball drafts, people are for sure overstacking. People are overstacking at this point. How much money you make off TikTok? None, really. Basically, everything I do on TikTok, I give away for completely free. I'm not a part of the creator fund at the moment either. So yeah, I'm really here just to help everyone in the community. And the number one way you can support me, by the way, is checking out the WalterPicks app. We'll be launching our draft tool in the WalterPicks app, which I have been building and leading for the past 3 years. It's the number one app for fantasy insights and advice. It's all powered by Walter, our AI algorithm and machine learning model that powers our projections. Dang, Michael Thomas gets snagged in the 8th round. He's been one of my most drafted players. I'll show you guys again my exposure percentages on YouTube after this draft is up. All right, I'm about to be back on the clock. And we snag Rachaad White, feeling very good about how this turned out for me. I waited a little while on running backs, but I was able to get Kenneth Walker, David Montgomery, Rachaad White in rounds 5, 7, and 8. I got a really good start here. I also have been really enjoying going late QB, late tight end in these early drafts too. I feel like there's a lot of good value you can find late at quarterback and tight end in these drafts. And you can also always just draft 3 of them at each of those positions in these best ball drafts to make up for not taking one early. It's a little bit lower floor or higher floor, lower ceiling. Are you hiring Sam Shaw? Not hiring at the moment, but definitely make sure you're following at WalterPicks and you'll be aware of any hiring opportunities in the future. All right, let's get to some of these YouTube comments. Thoughts on Jonathan Taylor, top 3 finish? It's definitely possible. I mean, there's a reason he was going number 1 overall last year. I mean, we've already seen him have a top 3 finish in years past. I don't think there's going to be a huge receiving role for JT with Anthony Richardson. I'm definitely concerned the touchdowns could decline for Jonathan Taylor with Anthony Richardson as well. I do think Anthony Richardson's going to be the starter for the Colts sooner rather than later. If not week 1, probably pretty soon after week 1. Usually I go robust RB rounds 1 to 2. This is the first year I'm going robust wide receiver. Yeah, you're not alone. If you come to the YouTube channel, which is right in the TikTok bio, I'm in a draft right now, actually, and you can see the draft board on the YouTube live. I mean, the amount of receivers going in the first round is absolutely incredible. Only 2 running backs were taken in the first round of this draft. It was CMC and Eckler, and that was it. So you can go early receiver. If everyone's going to do this, you can go early receiver and still get those running backs that historically have been gone in the first round. It's just sort of flipped a little bit this year, but you definitely still want to be targeting these elite running backs that have a chance to, get workhorse roles, receiving role, goal line role, first and second down role. There's only a few guys that really have the potential to do that. Christian McCaffrey has the potential to do that. I don't think we're going to see the type of volume CMC has seen historically, though, in the 49ers offense, but I think that's fine. He's going to score more touchdowns, be even more efficient as a part of that offense to make up for that. Austin Eckler, he's not going to have that type of role, but similar situation to CMC. Bijan, he could definitely have that type of role. I don't know if we're going to see it out of the gates for him, though. Jonathan Taylor, he definitely can have that role. Saquon, Nick Chubb, Tony Pollard, all could have that role this year. Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs also could be in one of those elite workhorse roles as well. So yeah, I like all those guys with where they're going right now. There is some real concern. The guy I am most concerned about holding out is Josh Jacobs. He seems super ticked off, rightfully so, about getting franchise tagged after leading the league in rushing and really putting the team on his back last season. The running back market has imploded in the NFL. So we'll see where that goes. But there's a real shot Josh Jacobs holds out and doesn't play this season because of his contract situation. So that's definitely something to monitor. Thoughts on a team of Fields, Chubb, Aaron Jones, Kupp, Olave, Goddard, Pierce, Mike Williams? Yeah, I like that team a lot. I need a little bit more info about how many teams are in that league and what the format is, PPR, half PPR, non-PPR. But I do generally like that team a lot. All right, we're back on the clock here. It's so weird to see Alvin Kamara sitting there this late in drafts this year. I wouldn't hate taking him here. The receivers, you can see there's no receivers left at this stage. I'm actually going to go, I think, Anthony Richardson here, though. I kind of want to go Anthony Richardson. Screw it. I'm going Jameson Williams. I know he's suspended the first 6 weeks. I also know that there's going to be a huge wide receiver drop-off in this draft. I mean, look at the receivers left, guys. We're in the 9th round. Look at the receivers left in this draft. You're watching live on YouTube. There's nobody. I mean, there's some guys I like late here that probably 2 to 3 rounds from now will be there, like Romeo Doubs, Jacoby Myers. I can talk myself into a little bit late. Nico Collins, I can talk myself into, like, where he's getting drafted. I'll probably talk myself into Tyquan Thornton as well. But like, these guys are not even close to the tier that Jameson Williams could be on when he returns. And again, I like the Lions playoff schedule. If you look here, the Lions play the Broncos in week 15. Then they finish out the season, the fantasy season, against the Vikings and the Cowboys. 2 potential shootouts there, projected high-scoring games. So I like getting pieces of that Lions offense for that reason too. I will take Anthony Richardson with this next pick if he's still there. I still need a tight end as well, so I'll look at Muth here also. I don't see if I have any. The receivers I have, I can stack Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, and Goff here late. Let's see. Let's just favorite these guys so I don't forget that. Goff, Russell Wilson, and Kyler. I kind of have been liking where Kyler's going in these drafts too. I know that there's a decent chance that he's not going to be healthy to start the season, but I do think he'll be back and playing sooner than people expect, generally speaking. Would you take Kamara in the 7th, 8th round? Yeah, I would. I just passed on him in the 8th or 9th round. It was a 9th round in this draft that I just passed him on. But generally, yeah, I've been pulling the trigger on Kamara in round 7, 8, 9 when he's there. There's a lot of uncertainty with Alvin Kamara right now. That's just the reality. There's a lot of uncertainty with Alvin Kamara. He's likely going to get suspended. We don't know for how long. I'm going to take Muth as my first tight end here. I'll take 3 tight ends for sure on this team, but I like his high-ish weekly floor, I guess, for tight ends. A pretty high floor each week with Muth. But I'll definitely be following up with 2 more tight ends later in this draft too. But yeah, Alvin Kamara is probably going to get suspended, but there's a chance he doesn't. There's a chance, similar to last year, that things just aren't resolved legally in time for him to get his suspension this season. If that's the case, and you're getting Kamara in the 8th, 9th round, I mean, that's a legit league winning pick with Alvin Kamara. I think the realistic scenario is he's suspended somewhere between 4 in 8 games. But the thing is, right now, even at his current price, like his current price in the 9th round, Alvin Kamara basically has a fully baked in 6-game suspension baked into his price. So like his worst case scenario feels already baked into the cost. Similar with Michael Thomas right now. I actually prefer taking Michael Thomas over Alvin Kamara, given they're two different situations. People are just so done with Michael Thomas. He basically hasn't played, more than a few games in 3 years. But by all accounts, this is the healthiest Michael Thomas has been at this time of the year in over 3 years. I don't want to jinx anything, obviously, but I've been hammering Michael Thomas in rounds 8, rounds 9. You're not even drafting Michael Thomas as a starting receiver. He might, like in most teams I'm drafting Michael Thomas on, he's not even my first backup wide receiver. He's my second backup wide receiver. I can stomach Michael Thomas going down with an injury, having another lost season, like everyone's expecting. If I took him in the 9th round, my team can survive that. But I also can literally win the league if he surprises people and has a fully healthy season. Not that much different than Christian McCaffrey last year. I still think Olave will lead the team in receiving, even if MT is healthy the whole season. But it wouldn't be shocking if MT led the team in touchdowns. Wouldn't be shocking if MT finished as a top 24 wide receiver that you're getting in the 9th round if he's fully healthy. Both Olave and Michael Thomas, I think, will have a pretty good floor and ceiling if they're both fully healthy. So I'm in on Michael Thomas at the current price, 100%. I do really expect Michael Thomas to rise in average draft position throughout training camp because, guys, he's going to be practicing during training camp. He's already said he's fully healthy. He's going to be out there during training camp. That hasn't been the case in the last 3 years. And I think when people see that, when they hear the Michael Thomas puff pieces, he's getting along with Derek Carr. He's hanging out with Derek Carr after practice. Derek Carr has made Michael Thomas the godfather of his children. That one might not be true, but wouldn't be shocking headline to see. Like I think I won't be shocked at all when MT is flying up draft boards. And obviously, if the latter happens, if Michael Thomas isn't practicing at training camp, I'm going to stop drafting him. That's generally my philosophy when it comes to injuries, especially this time of year. I take an optimistic approach, and I also believe people widely overestimate their ability to predict injuries. That's why I was taking CMC first overall last year when everybody knew CMC was going to get hurt. Why would you take CMC first overall? He can't stay healthy, and then he does. And he played. Christian McCaffrey actually played every single game last year. Who's one of like 3 running backs to do that, and he was traded midseason too. So like I don't think he even had a bye week. He played like 18 games. Absolutely insane, and a playoff game I think in there too. All right, we're going to snag Jared Goff to get these stacks going. We got the Jared Goff, Jameson Williams stack. I don't really love like involving David Montgomery in that stack, but I'm okay with it. Again, I like the Lions' late season schedule, so I'm okay having a little bit too many Detroit Lions on these teams. I will be looking into these 3 receivers, or Chig, Rondale, Nico. Chig Okonkwo has been one of my favorite tight ends to draft at this point in the draft. Let me pull up the draft board view again for everybody watching on the YouTube live. Shout out to everyone in this live stream, by the way. If you are listening and tuning in to a fantasy football live stream before July starts, you are my type of person. And you came to the right place, and you're going to have an edge on your league mates who are going to be scrambling to catch up on the NFL news, to catch up on fantasy football strategy, hours before the draft. Thoughts on Romeo Doubs this year? Yeah, I posted a video about Romeo Doubs yesterday or the day before that. I like him a lot at his current cost. I think if you compare his cost, look at this draft I'm doing. Again, if you come to the YouTube live, you can see a live draft I'm doing right now, $25 draft, Best Ball Mania 4, $3 million first place prize I'm competing for here. And Christian Watson, he went in the early 4th round. He went right after Mike Williams, or right before Mike Williams. Sorry, late 4th round, right before Mike Williams, right after Terry McLaurin. Meanwhile, Romeo Doubs, he went in the 10th round, 6 rounds after Christian Watson. Romeo Doubs averaged more targets per game and more receptions per game than Christian Watson last year. Watson also had a few big rushing touchdowns. I still think Watson has a higher ceiling than Doubs. I still think Watson probably leads the team in receiving yards, probably leads the team in touchdowns. But I think there's a really, really good chance Romeo Doubs leads the team in targets and leads the team in receptions. So when you compare the 2 costs, I'm taking Romeo Doubs in the 10th round over Christian Watson in the 4th round every single day of the week. I really haven't taken much Watson. I've taken him a few times. There is a really high ceiling there still with Christian Watson, but that's all factored into the price. I don't think the floor is really factored into Romeo Doubs' price right now. Is Christian Watson and Christian Kirk with Garrett Wilson in a dynasty league. Yeah, I honestly think I'd lean towards the Garrett Wilson side of that trade in a dynasty league. I want Garrett Wilson. Please tell me why Bijan is so high already. Yeah, I'll talk about the Bijan stuff in a second. About to be back on the clock here in this draft I'm doing over on YouTube. We're looking at Russ or Nico Collins. And yeah, we're going to go with the Russ, Jerry Jeudy stack here. And we have 2 of our 3 quarterbacks that we'll draft on this team. Still need 2 tight ends. But again, I have a few tight ends that I've been liking to draft late. So Bijan is, this is a good comment here from Nathan Brown. He's really good on the most run-heavy team. Yeah, so this is the thing about Bijan Robinson. There's a few different components that are aligning. The stars are aligning perfectly for Bijan. The only concern for Bijan is just how involved Cordero Patterson and Tyler Algier will still be. I think CPAT will still have some type of receiving role, some type of red zone role too. I think Tyler Algier, he will mix in. I don't think he's going to get 0 touches per game this season. He's probably going to be around the 5 to 10 touches per game mark. And CPAT might be around that mark too. But yeah, the Falcons last year were a top 2 most run-heavy team in the league. It was like them and the Bears. But the Bears, a lot of that was from Justin Fields. The Falcons are going to be one of the most run-heavy teams again. They have a really good offensive line. They just took Bijan with the 8th overall pick in the NFL draft. You don't do that if you don't plan on using that player significantly. And then on top of that, not only is Bijan really athletic, he's a 90th percentile size-adjusted athlete. He's not quite to the Saquon Barkley athleticism level, but he's not that far behind it either. I think he's a little bit closer of an archetype of Zeke and Najee Harris, but he's a little bit faster than those guys, and he's a better receiver than those types of guys. So Bijan has a really high ceiling. His ceiling this season is the number 1 overall running back in fantasy football. He's going to catch passes. He's likely going to get the goal line work. He won't be shocking to see him get 20 plus touches a game as the season goes on. And he's also a rookie with really little injury history too. So he's one of the safer running backs from an injury risk as well, even though all running backs have pretty significant injury risk in the NFL and in fantasy football. But yeah, that's why Bijan's going so early. There's a really good story there of why. All right, we are back on the clock here. I do need another running back sometime soon. I think I'm going to wait one more, though, and try to get Kenneth Gainwell. I'm going Irv Smith here as my second tight end. I feel like Irv Smith is going to be this year's Evan Ingram. That's one of my early takes for the season. I think the alignment there is perfect. Last year, Evan Ingram, everyone was done with him. You talk to a Giants fan, even today still, but before last season, you talked to a Giants fan about Evan Ingram, and they literally thought that he had stones for hands. People were so done with Evan Ingram after his time in New York. But sometimes, guys, players that are drafted to teams, they end up not being a great fit for those teams or those coaching staffs, and they're not used properly. They're not happy there. And then when they hit free agency, they get to join a team that they want to join. And they oftentimes choose teams with better quarterbacks and better offenses than they played in before. That's what happened with Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram had the size-adjusted athleticism. He had an efficient rookie season, which you rarely see from tight ends. And then he went and played with Trevor Lawrence in a better offense than where he was coming from. And he finished as a top 10 tight end last year. I even think he might have been top 6 at the tight end position last season. And I was all over that. Yeah, he finished number 7 in fantasy points per game at the tight end position. That's Evan Ingram. I think Irv Smith has the chance to do something like that this season. He's going even later than Evan Ingram was last year. I just took him in this draft. I just took him in the 13th round of this draft as my second tight end. We've seen Irv Smith have flashes in the NFL. He's been in the NFL for 3 years now. His best season was 2 years ago. He had 5 touchdowns on the Vikings. He has not had more than 50 targets in a season, though. And he's right now the pretty clear number 1 tight end on the Bengals. He's going from Kirk Cousins in the Vikings to Joe Burrow in the Bengals. A certain upgrade for him. I kind of want to take Tyquan Thornton here. And I kind of want to take Kenneth Gainwell as well. We're going to reach here for Kenneth Gainwell. I like him a lot more than these other running backs. I like Raheem Mostert here too, actually. I lied. We're going with Tyquan Thornton. We're going with Tyquan Thornton. He's been one of my more drafted players too. Got to get up to at least 7 receivers on this squad. And I also like going Tyquan Thornton here as well because I like the late Mac Jones stacks. I've been taking a lot of Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones, he's off the radar, obviously, in most season-long leagues from a fantasy perspective, but this is a best ball format. This is not your traditional season-long league. You don't set a lineup each week. Your best lineup's automatically submitted for you at the end of each week. And it's an 18-round draft. And Mac Jones is going in the 17th and 18th round in these drafts. There's almost no chance that the Patriots offense is worse than they were last year. It's basically impossible. They're coming from a season with no offensive coordinator. Now they have an offensive coordinator who supposedly is meshing well with Mac Jones. There's obviously a risk Mac Jones gets benched if he really sucks at the beginning of the season. We saw him get benched at times last year for Bailey Zappi, so that's why he's going so late. But I would be pretty shocked to see Mac Jones not start the whole season if he doesn't get hurt. I think the offense will be much better, and there's so many late stacking opportunities. And then on top of all of that, for best ball, you look at the Patriots playoff schedule. You can see I have this little card here at the bottom. The Patriots playoff schedule. Look at this. They play the Chiefs in week 15, the Broncos in week 16, and then the Bills in week 17. 3 potential shootouts there. Definitely 2 shootouts with the Chiefs and the Bills. We'll see if that Broncos game ends up being a shootout, but I also like taking them late for that reason too. But Kyler Murray, there's definitely a chance he's there for me in the 15th round. People are really letting him slide. Kenneth Gainwell gets picked in the 14th round. I was thinking about him with my last pick as well. How do you feel about Tyjae? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Tyjae Spears. I've taken a tiny bit of him late in drafts. I am a little bit excited because he was a decent receiver in college, 8.2% target share, 65th percentile. He was really efficient, 7 yards a carry in college. He played at Tulane, though, not like the best football school, but he had 1,500 yards in his final season at Tulane. If Derrick Henry goes down, and I mean, it's only a matter of time for the tires to tread on Derrick Henry. I'm still kind of in on Derrick Henry, honestly. It has cost this season. I feel like people are really panicked about how old he is. But I think Spears will be involved. I don't think he's going to have a significant fantasy role, though, unless Derrick Henry goes down. I would be pretty shocked if that was the case. So I haven't been taking him a ton. I don't really love true handcuffs. Anthony Richardson or Jahmyr Gibbs are the 102 in a rookie Superflex dynasty draft. Need QB and running back. Yeah, I like this question a lot, Lorenzo, in the TikTok live. I'm in a Superflex Dynasty League myself. The only Dynasty League I'm in is a Superflex Dynasty League. It's also an auction Superflex Dynasty League. It's really complex, but the rookie draft works the same. And I tanked this past season in that league. I had the first overall pick in that Superflex rookie draft. And then I had the 7th or 6th overall pick from some trades I did. And Anthony Richardson fell to me all the way at 6 or 7. And I had him as my number 2 rookie pick going into that draft. Bijan, I still think is number 1. Then I would go Richardson. I'm taking Richardson over Bryce Young and over CJ Stroud in dynasty leagues, in Superflex leagues especially. His ceiling is just absolutely higher than those guys because of his physical traits and his ability to be an elite rushing quarterback in the NFL. I am going to take Kyler here as my 3rd QB. I like getting Kyler as the 3rd quarterback on a team like this. I waited on quarterbacks. I didn't take a single quarterback inside the first 125 picks. Instead, I just took 3 of them, and I stacked all 3 of them with different players on my team too. So I'm feeling good about the stack situation here. Stacked Kyler with Marquise Brown, stacked Jerry Jeudy with Russell Wilson, and I stacked Jameson Williams with Jared Goff. I'm feeling pretty good about that stack situation we got going. Hopefully, Raheem Mostert will slide to me at this next pick. It's not super likely. If he doesn't, I'll probably be looking at one of these free agent running backs late in this draft, whether that be Leonard Fournette, Kareem Hunt. I'll definitely consider Cordero Patterson here too, if Mostert's not there at my next pick. Lorenzo, I got you, man. Appreciate everyone that's live right now, by the way. The first live stream for me is always a unique and special one. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've gone live. It's been since the Super Bowl, guys, since I've gone live. But this will be the first of many live streams leading up to the season. And obviously, I'm already training my body, guys, for the Sunday morning lives. I'm already training my body. I'm getting up at 5:30 a.m., 6 a.m. Sunday mornings in preparation. We're like 70 days out from the season in preparation for those Sunday morning lives, which are some of my absolute favorite times of the year. Didn't know you were live on YouTube. What's up, Sam? Good to see you. Kylo, man, it is great to see you as well. I hope all is good. Thank you for checking into the YouTube live. Walter loves Bijan. Yeah, Trevor, Walter definitely does love Bijan. And for all the reasons we said, right, there's so many stars aligning for Bijan Robinson. And you look at the historical comps for Bijan, and it's hard not to point to guys like Saquon Barkley, who was an elite fantasy option as soon as his rookie season. And Bijan really arguably is in a better offense than Saquon was in his rookie season. It's really going to be all about how much does Cordero Patterson and Tyler Algier mix in. But Bijan's, high floor, extremely high ceiling. I forget exactly what the floor ceiling Walter has for him. I think his floor is maybe like number 12 running back, and his ceiling's definitely number 1. So definitely excited for Bijan. All right, we're headed towards the latter part of this draft. I think I have 2 or 3 picks left. I have 3 picks remaining in this live best ball draft. Where are you drafting Jamar? Yeah, so I'm doing a live best ball draft on YouTube right now. Link is in the TikTok bio if you're watching live on TikTok. And Jamar Chase went 2nd overall, and he's going 2nd overall in almost every draft that I've done so far. I don't know why any of these running backs, by the way, are going ahead of Raheem Mostert, unless there's some news report that I missed. I certainly would take Mostert over Jeff Wilson. I definitely have a memory of Mostert playing ahead of Jeff Wilson. I believe we have him projected ahead of Jeff Wilson right now. Obviously, A-Chain is the guy everyone's hyping up right now on the Dolphins. There's also a lot of reports about Dalvin Cook going to the Dolphins. I do think that's his most likely landing spot is the Dolphins. But I like Raheem Mostert in best ball because he has that big play ability where Raheem Mostert he only needs like 10 carries. He had a game with 8 carries last year, 18 points. He scored a touchdown that game, had 4 catches, and went for over 100 yards. Like, he doesn't need this big workload. He's not going to get this huge workload, but at least he has the spike week potential that I'm looking for in best ball. He's going to be the last running back I think I'd take on this team. Great to catch you. You're the only guy that I listen to for true football knowledge. Wow, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be live and posting content pretty much daily, certainly weekly, leading up to the season with the lives. Daily content coming, though, on the TikTok channel, so make sure you're hitting follow. Eckler, LMFAO. Yes, I left Eckler on this list. I like Eckler, obviously, especially in PPR leagues, but he's not one of my favorites in the first round because I'd rather get Kelsey where he's going than Eckler where he's going. Eckler's going like mid to late first round, but I'd also like just prefer in the late first round to get Bijan, or early second round get Bijan, than to get Eckler, who's going before Bijan right now. So yeah, I just like some other guys in the first round a little bit more than Eckler. I like Eckler too. He's definitely an option in PPR leagues. Eckler's just never going to see this insane workload that I kind of want my running backs to have the potential to have. So that's the only reason I left Eckler off of here. But I certainly have been taking him in different spots in the first round of the drafts I'm doing so far. All right, guys, I've done almost 100 drafts already. I'm going to be posting a YouTube video soon about things I've learned from. I've done about like $1,000 worth of fantasy drafts already at this point. So I'll be making a YouTube video about some interesting dynamic shifts in fantasy for this year that I've learned about. In PPR, I have the first pick, and I'm so torn between Jefferson and Chase. What's your opinion? Yeah, you shouldn't be torn. Go with Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson's arguably having the best start to an NFL wide receiver career that we've ever seen. I actually don't even know if it's that much up for debate. He's gotten better every single year. He had 1,400 yards as a rookie, 1,600 yards as a sophomore, and last year he put up 1,800 yards, 22 fantasy points per game. The only wide receiver that averaged more fantasy points per game last year, by the way, than Justin Jefferson. Oh, we're on the clock here. Let me get... I kind of want to go with the Trey McBride to stack with Kyler. I like Hunter Henry more than Trey McBride, but I'm going to go McBride here to get the Kyler stack. I don't think I've taken Trey McBride yet. Zach Ertz is working his way back from an ACL and MCL injury, I believe. He's also up there in age. So I think down the stretch and early on in the season, McBride will probably lead the tight end group for the Cardinals. He's going to be in year 2 as well, and we do see tight ends generally take a big leap in year 2 and year 3. But yeah, I'd go Justin Jefferson over Jamar Chase pretty confidently. Both guys obviously really elite options. The difference, though, is that Jamar Chase has like really significant talent in T. Higgins next to him. I do think Jordan Addison will be an upgrade, number 2 wide receiver over Adam Thielen, but he's still not even close to the Justin Jefferson tier. So I'm going Justin Jefferson. I don't think he's had a bad game last year. He maybe had 1 or 2 bad games. The only receiver, by the way, that averaged more fantasy points per game than Justin Jefferson, who led the league in targets last year with 184 targets, it was Cooper Kupp, who averaged over 22 fantasy points per game until he got hurt, which is why I feel really good about Cooper Kupp, where he's going. I kind of like getting Cooper Kupp at pick 4 or 5 more than I like getting Jamar Chase at pick 2. Ain't no way Pollard falls to the second round. There's a way. There's a way. Actually, it just happened. I'm doing a draft right now over on Underdog Fantasy Best Ball Draft. If you come to the YouTube live, links right in the TikTok bio, you can literally see the draft board. I'm not capping you. Tony Pollard went in the late second round of this draft. Someone took Tyreek Hill with the 4th pick, and they followed it up with Tony Pollard in the second round and Derrick Henry in the 3rd round of this draft. I mean, that start's not even fair. You're getting Tyreek, Pollard, Derrick Henry. I think I'd like that team a little bit more, honestly, if they did take Cooper Kupp over Tyreek. But that's an insane start to a team. Tyreek, Pollard, and Henry in the same team is not fair. I agree that Pollard has the talent to be a first-round pick. People are just really pumping up the receivers. Guys like CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams. These guys are all going before the elite running backs of Nick Chubb, Saquon, Jonathan Taylor, even Bijan in this draft. So yeah, it's a different landscape this year. It always is a different landscape. Pollard seems to be dropping a lot in the drafts I've done so far. Yeah, it definitely, we'll see. Obviously, there's a lot of news still to come about where some of these free agents sign. Where is Zeke going to sign? Where is Leonard Fournette going to sign? Where is Kareem Hunt going to sign? And where's Dalvin Cook going to sign? All four of those running backs are going to be on teams this NFL season. We just don't know which teams yet. And there's a chance one of those guys ends up on the Cowboys. Okay, we need a receiver here with our last pick. And I think I'm actually going to go with Allen Robinson. He's been one of my favorite last round picks this year at the wide receiver position. I like mixing in some Richie James as well. But in most of these drafts, Allen Robinson's not getting picked. Allen Robinson is one of these names. People just start to moan and complain when they hear the name Allen Robinson. Because if you've been into him in fantasy in the past a couple of years, he's completely burned you, and he's been on the waiver wire the last 2 fantasy seasons, essentially. But similar to the Irv Smith situation, where Irv Smith, he's now with a much better QB and a much better offense. He got to choose his team, right? Irv Smith was a free agent. Allen Robinson was finally a free agent. He got traded to the Rams. They used him horribly. His role was basically like just sort of jog straight, stay on the outside, jog straight, and that's like sort of it. That was his entire role in the Rams. He only had 33 catches last year. He was really inefficient. He did score 3 touchdowns. He did pick it up like a little bit more down the stretch. He actually went over 10 fantasy points in 3 of his last 5 games last season before he got hurt in week 11. And now he's on the Steelers, and he's likely going to be their starting slot receiver. He's almost definitely going to be the starting slot receiver for the Steelers. It's him versus Calvin Austin. And I think he's going to do better in the slot. This is like the polar opposite. Allen Robinson's going to have the polar opposite role on the Steelers than he had in the Rams, where he was on the outside, not involved at all. He's going to be on the inside, working underneath, while Deontay Johnson and George Pickens are on the outside. No one's going to be paying attention to Allen Robinson. I like him late in the 18th round of these best ball drafts. He's not a guy I'll be drafting in season-long leagues, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's week 2 and I'm writing a Allen Robinson waiver wire column about why he's worth an ad in deep PPR leagues. Advice on picking 10th in a 10-man half PPR. Yeah, Connor, if you're picking a 10-man half PPR, I honestly don't hate the running back start in half PPR formats this year. I think half PPR and non-PPR, you got to lean a little bit more towards those workhorse running backs. And people are aggressively drafting receivers this season, at least to start. Like, you are going to be able to get 2 first-round picks in most fantasy football years. You're going to be able to get 2 of those guys, those running backs that usually that this year are getting pushed down draft boards because the receivers are getting pumped up so much. Like, you can get 2 of Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon, and Nick Chubb. Start with 2 of those guys, and then you hammer receivers, tight end, quarterback before really thinking running back to like round 6 or 7. I don't hate that approach at all if you're drafting late. All right, guys, that was the first live stream of the season. Before I wrap up, I do want to show you guys, if you're watching live on YouTube again, I just did a live draft over on YouTube. If you're watching live on TikTok, link is in the bio to go to the YouTube channel where you can actually see the draft board as I'm doing these drafts. I want to show you guys. So I've done 95 drafts so far on Underdog this season. I want to show you guys some of these ownership percentages. Mac Jones has been my most drafted quarterback by far. He's on almost a third of my best ball teams. No other quarterbacks on over 15%, which I feel good about. I like diversifying at the quarterback position. You can see I've had a pretty late round quarterback approach other than Mahomes. If I'm taking Kelsey in the first round, I'm really trying to get Mahomes. Same thing with Fields. I'm not feeling great about my Lamar Jackson percentage. Kind of wish this was higher. I do think he can win fantasy leagues this year with where he's going. But generally, like if I'm waiting late on QB, I'm just going to take 3 in this best ball format. And especially if I can get Mac Jones in round 17, 18 and stack him with some of these elite Chiefs and Bills stacks that I'm getting early, I like that a lot. But I'm definitely nervous. WalterPicks, my friend Trevor works there. Thanks, Colin. Yeah, Trevor's absolutely crushing it. Okay. Running back position, most drafted running back. I'm going to make a TikTok about this week too. My most drafted players at each position through my first 100 drafts of the season. Miles Sanders leads the way here by a lot. Really like the value you're getting for him. 6th, 7th, even 8th round. I've seen Miles Sanders go. I've always been in really on the talent with Miles Sanders. He's going to a worse offense, which has people kind of down, I think, about him. But in that worse offense, though, he's going to get the ball much, much, much more than he did on the Eagles. Guys, Miles Sanders didn't go over a 70% snap share more than once last season. One game, he went over a 70% snap share. Every other game, he was like between that like 40 and 55% snap share threshold, under 40% in each of the last month. He didn't have a game over a 40% snap share in the last month of the season. Like this is going to be a much different role for Miles Sanders in Carolina. He's going to be used more as a receiver. And I think he can get close to 15, 20 touches a game this year. I think he's going to be closer to 60, 70% snap share every week. The offense might be worse, but the volume is going to over adjust for that. I think it's going to be more than worth it to take Miles Sanders in the 5th, 6th, 7th round that he's going right now. A.J. Dillon, actually kind of surprised to see him up there at number 2. I'm nervous to have Kamara so high. But generally, I've been taking these elite running backs early still. I've been liking Rachaad White late. You can see here as well. Feeling pretty good, honestly, about this running back list overall. Let's go to the wide receivers. And this one's definitely going to make your stomach turn a little bit. My most drafted player overall, my most drafted receiver this season so far has been Michael Thomas. I've already talked through that take on this live. I'm sure I'll be making some videos about it leading up to the season too. But guys, this is the healthiest Michael Thomas has been at this time of the year in the past 3 years. And he's getting priced like he's already injured. He's going in the 9th and 10th round of all 44% of these drafts. I haven't taken him earlier than the 9th round in these drafts. So I'm drafting him as my number 4. It's often even my number 5 receiver in these leagues. It's okay if he busts. My teams are going to be built in a way, roster construction wise, that they can survive without their 9th round pick. But he's fully healthy right now. And he has a chance to be a top 24 wide receiver, especially in a PPR leagues. This is a half PPR format. I've also been taking Tyquan Thornton late because I've been stacking him with Mac Jones pretty consistently. Jerry Jeudy, probably my most elite receiver that's up here. Calvin Ridley I've been in on. I think I actually just took both of these guys in this draft we just did on this live. And then if we go at the tight end position, I can't stop taking Mike Gesicki and Hunter Henry late. The Patriots offense, especially again with these Mac Jones stacks that I'm getting late, Gesicki, Hunter Henry, I think they have a really good shot to combine for 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns this season in an offense that's going to be a lot more 2 tight end sets, back to the Bill O'Brien offense that was what was run when Gronk and Aaron Hernandez were in town. There's been like murmurs for the past 3 seasons that the Pats might go back to that. Now that Bill O'Brien's back, they're going back to that. It's pretty clear from OTAs that that's going to be the case. I think Gesicki and Hunter Henry will be really involved in that offense. And then Chig Okonkwo late, I've liked a lot as well. And you can see I'm hammering Travis Kelce pretty much after the first 5 picks of the draft. I want Kelce. Give me all of Kelce. Give me a wide receiver 1 on the best offense in the NFL with the best quarterback in the NFL. And I get to play him in my tight end slot where everyone else is probably going to score close to 0 points like that I'm playing against. I'll take that all day. So yeah, I'm definitely in on Kelce this season with where things stand right now. Obviously, if the Chiefs sign Hopkins or something like that, might change things a little bit. But there's my ownership percentages so far this year. All right, let me stop the screen share here on the YouTube live. We are going to be wrapping up the first live stream of the season, the first of many, guys. There's many more to come. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Time is the most valuable thing we have. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I'll be back live later this week, and make sure you're following on TikTok for the daily videos that I'll be putting out. We're also going to be making some more long form content on the YouTube channel this season. Have a good one, guys. I'll be back soon.